Welcome back to the Couch GM podcast, Coug fans. We have an amazing guest today. It is the Pac-12 all-time leading passer. This is Luke Falk.
Yeah, Connor, this one's a bit surreal for us. I mean, when we were at Washington State, going to school on campus, Luke Falk was quarterback number one. He was that guy on campus that you're like, hey, there goes the starting quarterback. All-time winningest quarterback in WSU history, first all-time in the Pac-12 in pass completions, 1,404, pass attempts, 2,055, passing yards, 14,486, passing touchdowns, 119. He was 12th all-time in NCAA in passing yards and TDs. Also, Luke, negative 400 yards rushing in his career. So that's maybe the one bugaboo, but just an awesome hour that we have on deck for you guys.
Hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, if you or somebody you know is thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing on the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, or Arizona, how I make my money is being a full-time mortgage broker. And it's my goal to assist as many sports fans and athletes on the West Coast and Coug alum to buy the home of their dreams. So make sure to reach out to myself. I'll have a link in the description of this video. And Dylan, how can they get in contact with you?
And if you're thinking of buying a home in a sunny state, please reach out to me. I work in the solar industry. If you're looking to lock in an energy bill over the next 20 to 25 years and not deal with that power company raising them, anywhere from 6 to 10% per year, come in and get a locked in rate with me. You can reach out to me through Twitter or 661-269-3003.
Also, if you are not yet a part of the 1890 Club, the Cougar Collective, now is your time to join. $18.90 a month can help contribute to keeping these guys and these athletes in Pullman. Cougs helping Cougs.
Also, please be sure to stay in tune with CougFan.com. That is one of the best ways to help Connor and myself out, is getting a subscription through CougFan.com. 60% off today. Please think about it. That's one of the best ways that you guys can support us and what we do daily and weekly.
And with that, let's get into our episode with Luke Falk. All right, Luke Falk, thank you for jumping on. It's great to meet you up at the WSU Quarterback Classic just about a month ago in Pullman. How have things been since then? And then we'll get into a bit of your story.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. That was a fun tournament. Good meeting you guys. And thankfully, I didn't have to tee off that hole that you guys were doing the little recording at that point. That would have been good for my Mind Strength brand. The guy, oh man, Coach Falk shanks it in the bushes. So,
but gotta stay strong for 18.
Yeah, exactly. That's a tough course. They were asking, they're like, hey, did you play this in college? I said, heck no, it was $50 in college. They didn't have NIL. I played the Moscow course for $18 with the boys.
They didn't let players go on for free or anything like that?
No, they didn't have any of that stuff. And, unless I had a good night at Zeppos, but it sounds like Zeppos had, people had too many good nights at Zeppos, so now they're out of business.
Did you ever play Colfax with the boys?
I never did.
Oh man,
pretty good.
That was the sleeper, $25. Just gotta not speed in or out, but good round of golf.
That is true. I've had family members that shamelessly have used my last name when I was playing there to get out of some tickets in Colfax. Rumor has it. So
okay,
that's all.
Yeah.
So let's take it back and get into your story. I mean, there's so much to get into, but let's take it back to the days growing up, to when you were playing all different sports, when you started focusing on football throughout your high school career, how you ended up on the Palouse.
Yeah, well, I had no clue about WSU until I heard Leach was going up there, but I was a multi-sport athlete growing up. Played baseball, basketball, football, and then, I would golf on the side. I didn't do it competitively. Into high school, I dropped baseball after my freshman year because in Utah, baseball season is winter, and I was tired of hitting the bat, hitting the ball and the bat in the wrong spot, my hands stinging like crazy. So done with that. And I didn't like getting hit with the baseball, so I picked a profession where I got hit by 300-pounders instead. And I played basketball, football from there. My recruiting was a little bit different. So I was at a high school called Logan High here up in Cache Valley, and had a really good quarterback that was a year ahead of me named DJ Nelson, one of the best players in the state at the time. So we had a system called the +1 system my sophomore year and his junior year. And what it meant is he started the game off, then I got a series, and then if he scored, he got to keep playing until he didn't score. And then when he didn't score, then I got to go in and I got to play until I didn't score. And well, it really taught me, man, you got to produce in this business. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to play. And, through that season, he had some high points. I had some high points. And he had a younger brother named Chase Nelson, a year below me. And we're in Logan's not a metropolis for college recruiting at the time, my parents thought. And I had parents that, if you just YouTube them, and I'm sure the Coug fans and faithful know about my mom. I mean, she made herself really well known at the games. Total opposite personality of me, likes to be in the limelight, all that stuff. And anyway, so they went to extreme measures, and they actually moved me out to California to a place called Oaks Christian, a private high school, in hopes that I would get more exposure being at this Hollywood high school. And it was Hollywood High. I mean, Will Smith's son went there. Wayne Gretzky's kid went there. Bella Hadid was going there at the time. And, I go to this place, and you go from Ford pickup trucks to the Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon type. That's what was in the parking lot. And I hated it. I'm a small town kid. That's why Pullman really suited me, and ended up having a really not a great time out there. Had some shoulder issues. Got to play early on in the season. My parents ended up actually separating out there too. And so it was just not a great family move. Then we actually played Bellevue High, our first game in one of the travel things. So Nate DeRuyter was on that team. I didn't play a great game. The next week I got benched, and then we ended up moving back home to Utah. So it was a really humiliating experience for me. I guess what it did do, though, is I did get a scholarship from Florida State at the time. That ended up getting pulled for sure, though. And I came back here my junior year, and I was deemed ineligible to play by the state of Utah. So I had the privilege of filming the games while DJ was leading the team, and they went 14-0 that year and won a state championship. So I was the GA filming everything up top, and then I'd break down the film for our high school head coach. So you talk about a shitty time. That was pretty shitty. And then not to mention all the flack that I got from not only my friends and the people here, and then also the surrounding rival schools. We'd play basketball games. I finally got eligible to play basketball, and we played a team called Mountain Crest, and I fouled out of the game. And the whole student section's yelling, "Cali reject, Cali reject."
Man,
it was brutal. It was brutal. And but through that whole process, there's a silver lining. I was competitive beforehand, but oh man, I got really competitive after that, and I got really dialed into my process. But what really helped me is going into my senior season, I started working with a mental performance coach, and that's when it clicked for me. It was like all that external stuff going on, mom, dad, recruiting, this, that, and the other, didn't matter, because mental performance and really what I call mind strength now is about mastering your inner world. And it doesn't matter what is going on in the external world. You can handle any of it. And so started to work with that, had a decent senior season, still not a lot of recruiting traction. After that point, I got a scholarship offer from Idaho. Jason Gesser was the offense coordinator there. So that was pretty cool. But that staff got fired, and I had an opportunity to go to Cornell. And then the new staff came in, the Petrino, and they pulled my scholarship, said I wasn't athletic enough. I can't argue with them. I mean, I can't argue with that take. And then I had an opportunity to go get recruited at Cornell, and I committed there. And then their head coach left like a month after, and just felt like it was a sign, because the only thing that was kind of left over that felt good and authentic was an opportunity to go play at Washington State. The moment I committed at Cornell, I felt I made a bad decision. I felt I was selling myself short, because I felt like I could play at a high level at a big time conference. It was just like I got lost in the shuffle. I got lost in the mix. We got lost in the sauce in terms of my parents trying to do too much, and just instead of allowing things to take care of how they're going to. That's why even in my mind strength training, it's like, listen, I got a section with parents. Hey, you can be a great asset or an interference for your son or daughter. Here are some things that can help, and here are some things that let's avoid. Like, no vicariously living through your kid. Let your kid's journey be their own journey. And so that's a big part of it. Love my parents. They'd do anything. I love them dearly. They just wanted what was best for me. And through my own experience of being on both sides of the coin now, I think I've got a unique experience to be able to help athletes. But ended up walking on at Washington State, and I think that story's been told time and time again. And I really went there because I trusted Leach when he said he was going to give me an equal opportunity. There's not a lot of people that really would follow through on that, but he did, and it worked out.
I wanted to kind of jump back to the time where you get back from California, you go back to your old high school and become that GA. Initially, did you kind of feel ostracized, with your former teammates, your head coach, or was it something where your head coach was like, "Hey, I know you can't play, but I want you back"?
Yeah, so my head coach to this day, his name's Mike Favero, is in my core five, what I call my core five. He's still one of the closest advocates in my life, and he's taught me so much, and he's one of my greatest supporters. And it was no issue for him. He just wanted to support me and help me on my journey. So he said, "Listen, you can't play, you can't control that, but what can you do? Okay, one, we need a filmer, so you're going to film the game, so you're on top of it instead of talking to the girls in the stands." And then two, you're going to break it down. You're going to work this game, the mental part of your game, so you can really get something out of this year. So it sucked. It really did. I mean, think about your buddies, the team that were supposed to be part of, that you really didn't want to go move to California. You got really kind of dragged out there. Now you're watching them go win and have one of the greatest historic seasons in Utah State football history. It was a tough pill to swallow. Couldn't even practice, couldn't do any of that stuff. So you talk about a hit to the ego. It certainly was. And I had this hunger. And so when I got to Washington State, it's like I think here was maybe the negative. I was so externally driven that I wanted to prove people that I could do it. I wanted to prove people that, listen, I'm not a mistake. I'm not I'm not a failure. Like, I'm destined for something great. And the unfortunate part with that, when you are only externally motivated in that regard, is when you get to that point, you kind of burn out. You get to that mountaintop, and it's like, was this all there is? Is this? So I really try to caution people when they make their destination goals, it's got to be internally driven or both. Like, I don't think it's an issue to have externally and internally motivated, but if it's only externally motivated, it's like you're climbing the wrong mountain. You're going to run out of fuel at some point. And quite frankly, I think that's what happened to me when I got to the NFL. It's like I had done what I got to do, and there were a number of other factors involved that I talk into with my mind strength deal about who you surrounding yourself with, what are what are your habits, all that jazz. But really tough moment. I mean, I look back at that time. That was a hard part, and not to mention all the other things that you're going through in the high school realm, and but thankfully I had friends that accepted me. My core friends. You really find out who your core friends are, and then I learned a great lesson in mind strength. I mean, think about that. It's like things didn't go my way. How was I going to respond? Was I going to turn to drugs and alcohol? Was I going to be a victim? Was I going to have a pity party? No, thankfully, I was able to meet a coach who could help support me and aid me on my journey, and a lot of positive came from it.
So the mind strength coach in high school, walk us through exactly what that looks like. How often you're meeting, what homework they're giving you. When I was going through high school, I don't think there was any mind strength coaches around, or not that I'm aware of. Like, what exactly does that look like?
Yeah, well, you're totally right. It's not taught in schools. It's not taught in sports. Really, not taught in business or any other arena in life. I was just fortunate enough. A guy named Dr. Craig Manning. He was a professor down at BYU. I still think he is, and he currently works with the Milwaukee Bucks. And we would meet one time a week. We'd just go on Zoom. At the beginning, it was about an hour, and then as we got into our rhythm, it could be about 30-minute touch point. And it was all about learning. We have physical skills, right? Do you guys play golf?
Mhm.
Try
I mean,
to.
yeah, you try, we all try. There are physical skills when you're golfing. There are same thing when there's the same mental skills, emotional skills, spiritual skills that athletes have. They just don't work on them. They're there, but they just don't know how to access them. So through his program, he did a great job of, hey, here's the teaching point or what we want to do, and then this is how you're going to apply it. Because what he hit me with is, hey, is knowledge power? And I answered yes. And he's like, no, the application of knowledge is power. If you don't know how to apply it, how's it going to help you? So he did a great job of, okay, this is how we're going to be able to help apply it into my game. So, my parents found him through, word of mouth. Like I said, they tried to give me every opportunity, and I'm very grateful. That was the best investment they ever made in me. That was the best thing that they ever did, because it helped get me on a path and a trajectory to build, on a real strong foundation where I could generate true confidence. So that's kind of what it looked like. And then now, I'm doing the same thing. When I started working with him, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I'm like, gosh, like this is amazing. And I loved the works of it. All the other thought leaders like, Wayne Dyer, Stephen Covey, all those types of people, I felt that I had real credibility and credentials at a certain point. It's like, I've done it. What better way, who better to learn from than somebody who's actually done the principles that they're talking about?
One thing you brought up at the QB Classic was one of my favorite books, The Pyramid of Success from John Wooden, and just a few pillars off of it, competitive greatness, poise, self-control. What did you take from reading The Pyramid of Success, and what do you instill from that book into your training?
Well, I think Coach Wooden's whole philosophy is all about mastering the inner world, mastering your process, what you can control, being the best. His definitions of success is just doing your best. What's your best? Not what is the external, did you win or lose, but did you give your maximum best effort, 100% of what you could that day? And I love that, because I think that is it's so within our control. Because just to do a little mind strength principle, the things that you can control combat your anxiety, versus when you focus on things you can't control, your anxiety increases. And if your anxiety increases, what do you think is going to happen in your performance? It's going to go down. So, if you can get the athlete or you get whoever to focus on things that they can control, well, their anxiety is going to naturally get combated. And guess what? They can increase their performance. So I think what John Wooden's approach is getting his team to focus on the things that they can control, doing the best that they could be. And there was even a story in there where they didn't watch film on the upcoming opponent, because they were just going to master their process and play the game that they played. In a sense, Mike Leach did the same thing. We would watch film, we would do that, but we kept what we did as the main thing. And I think that's why he has such a high rate of success with quarterbacks, because Mike Leach is a master at, it's not what he knows, it's about what he can get his players to apply. What we talked about, knowledge isn't power, it's the application of knowledge. So, who gave me that book was Coach Leach. He gave us a book, wow, I think my sophomore year, and it was that little light blue and yellow book, and I devoured it. And I was just like, this guy, I really resonate with what Coach Wooden's talking about. And I could see the similarities within our offense and our philosophy that Coach Leach had, that Wooden did with his team. And I think that's why Leach had great success, is because Leach was, what are we going to do? I don't care about, he literally said, like, I don't care if they know what we're going to run. We're going to run it and execute it at such a high level that it's going to be successful. And I love that. And I got into college coaching and I realized how different that is at certain places. They want to scheme and get the perfect play call versus the perfect coverage. And they spend so much useless time. There's a reason Coach Leach could go hang out in Key West in the off season, because he had a system, he had a plan, and we're going to execute it through his process and system. So, what I love too about John Wooden, he's so mission driven. It's like his mission and his values really dictated his decisions. He didn't allow the external and society's scoreboard, how many national championships, how much money, how much fame, how much prestige. He really allowed the mission. What did he want to do? The value he wanted to add into people's lives. That's what he was after. He was a true coach, a true teacher at the sense. And really, I want to bring that into what I'm doing in the same form of capacity. So my mission is I want to help athletes, coaches, and people I talk with unlock their full God-given potential through strengthening their mind. Okay, so every decision I have needs to be centered around that, not how much money can I make, not what status, prestige, this, that, other. Everything is trying to push towards that message. And that's what I got to keep focused. It's hard. It's a daily discipline, especially when you have certain things come at you that are appealing in society's scoreboard, right? We all have egos, but it's just the practice of reminding myself, even the great John Wooden, it was like, no, he was mission driven. That's why I love Bronco Mendenhall here at Utah State. It's not just about winning football games for him. He has such a higher purpose of cultivating, creating great young men through winning at a high level. It's like he can do both. Otherwise, it's meaningless to me. So, anyways, sorry, going a
Absolutely.
long tangent there.
No, well put. That was like one of the
Yeah.
first books my grandma gave me. I mean, my grandparents, I grew up in a UCLA household before I even knew what Washington State University was. So, no, it's a great book and a great thing to accustom your life by.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think we have so much information in today's day and age. It's just what are you consuming? What are you looking at? Are you on social media? Are you on TikTok? Are you drinking from good books, as John Wooden would say? And that book that he talked about or that he has is among the best, in my opinion, for any athlete, coach that is wanting to, I guess, be a real mission-driven type person.
Now, getting back into your story a bit, you mentioned that you didn't know anything about Washington State until Mike Leach moved over there. Who was the first point of contact at Washington State? How did how did that communication start? How did you decide to go walk on there?
Yeah, Eric Mealy. So we went up to also, people can pray for his family. They just
Yes.
lost their oldest daughter in a tragic accident. That family's incredible. I can't tell you how much he means to me and how special she was. And anyways, just talked to him this morning, and anyways, I'm just gutted. I've been
Yeah.
telling him I don't even know what to say. But his family, I mean, I owe him everything. So it just, anyways, I can't go on
Yeah.
without saying that. But talked to Eric Mealy. My mom reached out to him because we were up at the University of Idaho doing like an official or unofficial type visit, eating at Gambino's with Coach Gesser and all those people. And we just said, hey, can we pop over to Washington State? So he was the one that actually took us in the golf court, toured around, did all that, and was the person that was really adamant about my recruiting process. Then Coach Yost came out to see me play a basketball game, and then they gave me a late official visit type thing. But yeah, it was really Coach Mealy who put the energy and the effort into it, and he's one of my closest people today as well. And once again, if we could all just pray for him and his family and just the tough time that they're going through right now. Did you have a second part to that question? Sorry on that one.
Yeah, it was, you get to Washington State, you redshirt that first year. What was that experience getting on campus, being an actual walk on?
Yeah. Well, being an actual walk on is not sexy. The idea of being a walk on and going for your dreams and the Rudy model, thankfully, I was a little bit bigger than Rudy. Um, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. So I got on campus. I was the fifth on the depth chart, and I go, oh shit, I made a mistake because in practice, it seemed like everything was stacked against me. And that Leach didn't do what said he was going to do from a standpoint that I was going to get equal opportunity because we had our strength coach, Coach Lascalzo. I'm sure he'll watch this at some point. I hated him. Hated him. He was the weed out process guy completely. And I mean, I was the walk on. I was like the bottom of the totem pole. So he was going to do everything he possibly could. Just our whole group. And we had a really talented class that came in, but we were really undisciplined when we got there. And so we learned the hard way. I don't know if the new NCAA rules would allow them to do what Coach Lascalzo did. I mean, we called him Loco because he's crazy for a reason. I love him today, but I wanted to quit. I mean, if they had the transfer portal then, I probably would have transferred. But I'm glad I didn't, because wow, what great lessons and learning it was. So that was shitty. And then we got to practice and we're in scout team and I fumbled the snap. And Coach Wilson, who is now with TCU, said, "You're not getting any more scout team reps this entire season." So I didn't take another scout team rep that entire season, besides maybe a crumb here and there when I could jump in. So Brugman got them all. And so literally I'd go out to practice and I'm just like kind of twiddling my thumbs on the scout team period, trying to like get in every now and then. But so that sucked. And then if it weren't for Thursday night football, I wouldn't have had the opportunity. But Coach Leach said, so during the reps that mattered, I did get equal reps with Brugman. And that was great. That was my game day every Thursday. And I charted my stats. I charted all the measurables, the KPIs at the end. And I showed him, because it was like I was competing against him. I felt if I beat him, I could get a scholarship. And at the end of Thursday night football, I had better statistics than him. So we played in the New Mexico Bowl. And I remember I finished it off on a pretty good note. And I had a couple more touchdowns than him. I had a higher completion percentage, and I had it all charted out for him. I didn't want to leave them any gray area. Now, I didn't get put on scholarship at that point. Also, too, just to show you the life of the walk-on, we didn't get to eat with the team at that time unless you paid for it. And so, you don't get to eat with the team unless you make the travel squad. Then you can eat in the Gray W, and you can eat with them during fall camp. So, we're eating in fall camp, but then the season comes, your card won't swipe. You're not on the list. It's like you're not in the club. So I would wait outside of it wasn't in the football building at the time. It was over by Northside. And we'd have that little area in the back. So Cole Madison, he'd go get me mac and cheese or whatever the heck they were serving that night, and he'd bring it out. That'd be my meal. And so that I would wait for my walk-on scrubs. And then when you go get your books, you guys know this well, you actually have to go pick your books out as a regular student. Whereas an athlete, they're pre-packaged for you at the NICE. You go, it's like you have the fast pass at the Disneyland line, and you go up, and then you don't have to pay for them. Well, we have the privilege of going and picking the books out, and then we stand in the Disneyland, but there's no ride at the end. It's just a $250 bill to be paid. So, there were just like reminders over and over and over again that, listen, you're a walk-on. When I go down, I made a little post you guys saw yesterday. It's like your locker 114. You're literally you don't get your number that you're associated with your locker. You're in the 100s. So it's just over and over and over again. Thankfully for me, I got lucky. I had people transfer out, and I started just continuing to stay with the process, and had a better spring than Brugman, and had a better spring game than Brugman. And then he ended up transferring out. I was number 2 on the depth chart, got put on scholarship a year after walking on. I think that's very uncommon. And I'm not naive to think there was so much luck involved. I was prepared, I think that old cliche, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. That's what happened. So.
And how was it announced that you got to
Oh, go ahead. It wasn't announced to the team at all. It was a casual, we were sitting in Coach Leach's office watching film, and then he goes, "Hey, FAULK, stay here after." So then the quarterbacks go down. It's on like a Wednesday practice or Tuesday practice, nothing out of the blue. And then he goes, "Yeah, Emmerich's got some papers for you to sign. You're getting put on scholarship." Nice job, Bubba. And like that's kind of it. So I went and signed the papers. I had Dave take a photo of me. I still got that old photo. It's grainy. I can't believe how I feel like the old guy now with bad quality photos. And then went out to practice, and that was it. It wasn't announced to the team, nothing like that. And then I'm sure I think somebody caught wind of it reporter wise, and then they reported about it or something.
What Nothing big like the current day social media.
No. I see these guys
celebrating.
I would have loved that. That would have been cool. But we celebrated. With my close friends, and had a good time.
You take us into 2014. Obviously, you walk on redshirt 2013. Connor Holiday coming back as the quarterback in 2014. Can you take us into your guys' relationship over those 2 years? Was he a guy that was there to help you, or like how did that relationship muster?
Yeah, well, I mean, Connor saw me be a walk-on, and then now I'm his backup. So it's like I don't think he ever viewed me as a threat. So he was always very open with me. I still remember him giving me advice on Ace 92. Make sure that you put the back to the field rather than the boundary if you want to throw the boundary, because you don't want the flat defender to get underneath your speed out. Like stuff like that. Connor was much better about giving information like that than I ever was with any of the young guys. I mean, I hate to say it now, but I was not friends with the quarterbacks I was not there to be friends with them. I was not there to give them any information that I had. It wasn't until Tyler came into the picture, and Tyler just had this personality and way to be able to even get the old crusty guy like me to warm up to the quarterback group. And that's really what happened. But, I was in a competition with Peyton Bender and those guys. It's like I wasn't going to give them anything. I don't think Connor was that way with me. I think Connor was just kind of hey, this is what I was thinking in this regard. And we had a good relationship. So it wasn't anything, no animosity, nothing like that at all. Versus I probably had maybe too scarcity of a mindset when I was playing. It was like, I mean, I didn't want to tell them and divulge on anything.
Yeah.
But when Tyler ended up playing in that Holiday Bowl, that was like the first time that I really was like, okay, here's some things that I know. Here you go. And I think as I got through that bowl prep, because I knew I wasn't going to be playing, I knew I wasn't going to be after that surgery I had and all that jazz. It was looking that I wasn't going to be able to play. So that was kind of all right. I guess I'm done here, and how can I help now? But going back, I wish I wasn't that way. I wish I helped out, had more of a relationship with those guys. But you do the best that you can at that point. And I just told you my background in high school was like I kind of had the mentality that we're like two dogs fighting over whatever the steak was thrown in there, and having that walk-on mentality and just going through that, I think it stuck with me a little bit, which I guess I can't say I wish I was in any bit different, because it turned out to have a pretty fun career.
And
And
I
it,
guess I'll ask one more tabling question. I don't know if anybody's asked about the initial, Boise State game with Tyler. And obviously you get benched in that game, and Tyler puts together one of the greatest comebacks in Coug history. Now
Yeah.
looking at it back on, like, can you compare it to how you were feeling maybe in that moment on the sideline to now looking at it and seeing, the historic aspect of it?
Yeah, well, I didn't like it when I was playing, candidly. The third play of the game, broke my wrist, got tackled from behind, knew something was wrong. I didn't think I broke it. And then Leach benched me in the second half to get me to watch Tyler from a series to see if I would, be able to see something or just calm me down a little bit. Then I got put back in there, and then I got a concussion. It's like, so I went out there and I got my freaking head blown off. And so I'm in the tent and all the stuff's going on while I'm getting evaluated. And then, he has a tremendous comeback. And at the time, it's like, okay, now we play the next week, and I got people in the stands at home. And this never happened to me, because before it was like I felt like I had the entire university behind me. Now I've got people in the stands saying, "Hey, we want Tyler," when we struggled a little bit early on with Oregon State. And it like put me back in that walk-on type deal. And I was like, I kind of got pissed. I kind of got pissed at the fan base. And it was like, all right, what can you do for me now? It was a real wake-up call of, all right, I got to produce. And that season was very turbulent for me. I mean, we at one point we were 8th in the country. I'm in the Heisman conversation, and then I throw 5 picks at California and all that jazz. So it was like very turbulent, high low season. Looking back on it now, I mean, I think it was a real God sent thing from Tyler's perspective of being able to have that moment. And I just I still can't believe the events that went on with him. I still remember getting the phone call, what happened. And Tyler was not that guy, at least from the outside in. You didn't think that anything was. Tyler was the opposite of that. If you would have taken our roster, he would have been 125 out of 125 who you ever thought was going through something challenging, because of how bubbly he was and just how warm and inviting he was. And so to this day, and I so um, really support what him and his parents are doing right now with the Linsky's Hope, and really making what happened, the tragedy there, a mission for them to be able to make sure it doesn't happen to somebody else's family or somebody else's athlete. I was fortunate enough to go to one of their talks at Utah State, and that game came on. And had that game come on when I was in 2017 or 2018 or 2019, kind of even still in the early phase of it, it's like I would have got a little bit bugged. But seeing it then, it's like, man, what a cool thing for that to have happened. And it's just part of our history. And I miss him. I wish that things were different in that regard. But I'm glad that he had that moment against Boise State. At the time, like I said, I was not. But now having a grander view, also sports are just, they're such a small part of life. And I think when things like that happen, it puts things in perspective. It's like, what really matters? Does, somebody saying nice things about me in the media, does that really matter? No. Does somebody saying, the approval or this or that and the other? It's like, those things don't really matter. What matters is about relationships, the friendships, how you treat people, the things that you leave behind. And even in Tyler's short life, he, in this short time at Washington State, he had a tremendous impact. I just told you. So.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah. Tough to pivot from that. But kind of going through your first career start to where Connor Halliday got injured and you had the opportunity to now step in and be the starting quarterback at Washington State. If this is correct, your first career start, you threw 471 yards, 5 touchdowns, conference offensive player and national quarterback of the week honors. What was that like?
Well, I think I had like positive rushing yards, which might be the craziest stat out of all of those. That was great. I mean, it was really, it was a fun setup for the future games against Oregon State. I mean, I think I have some NIL funds that they give me from Oregon State because I have ownership in Reser Stadium and all that with our class and all those. Really, the state of Oregon. I can't say that in the state of Washington. I mean, Eastern beat us at freaking UW. Yeah, I might be in UW's Hall of Fame actually for all the touchdowns I threw them. But no, it was great. It was surreal because, like I said, I was a walk-on 2 years prior or 3 years prior. I'm filming my team in the state championship, and here I am playing in the Pac-12 against Oregon State, Sean Mannion, who I had looked up to. And it was fun too, because Oregon State, they were on the fence about offering me in high school. They were like, hey, we want to offer this kid, da, 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 da. And then they said I didn't have a strong enough arm. So for me to go out and have a performance that we had as a team that day and win in a fun fashion, it was like kind of a vengeance. And it started like my vengeance tour of people who passed up on me. And then Gary Anderson had the privilege of going to Oregon State, who I was friends with his sons in high school. We played on the same team when he was coaching at Utah State, and they didn't look at me at all, didn't give me an opportunity to walk on or anything like that. So when we got to play Gary at Oregon State, it was like, all right, next on the bucket list, here we go. And I'll give you a fun story here. So we're playing Oregon State, Gary's first year in 2015. So my high school head coach told me that, and I've asked him before if I can share the story. He advised me not to go to Washington State. He said that, the odds of me making it there are really low, that people will invest money in you if they actually want you. Like they've got a scholarship. To a degree, he's absolutely right. And he felt that I should go to Cornell. So I took that personally a little bit in terms of, all right, is he not believing in me? Yada, yada. I went through this whole process, and I actually do a thing called the clearing method. We don't need to talk about it here. But anyways, and then Gary obviously didn't get any opportunity. And I'm right in his backyard at Utah State. And then he goes to Wisconsin, nothing at all. And then he goes to Oregon State. So that game, I had the privilege of giving Coach Vivero tickets to come see me play for the first time. I think it was the first game he got to come play or see me play. And then we're playing against Gary. And I threw for 6 touchdowns in the first half. And unfortunately, I didn't continue throwing more in the second half, but it was fun because we beat the dog breaks off those guys that day. And just a fun moment of like, all right, full circle. Okay, coach, I did make it. Hey, Coach Gary, wish you would have recruited me. Would have loved to do this at Utah State or Wisconsin, but anyways.
Yeah, And then I mean, walk us through those next few years. You know, I was in college 2012 through 2016. So you were there a majority of the time that I was at Washington State. Same thing with Dylan. So seeing it from the stands versus now hearing it from a different perspective is really cool. So yeah, walk us through those last few years of your career at Washington State and what that meant for
Yeah.
you.
Well, 2015 was the most fun I've ever had playing football. I mean, hands down, that group of guys was amazing. I mean, they went through, I mean, you saw it, really tough WSU years, maybe one among the worst in the Power Five conferences from a football standpoint. To then,
And you guys started it off with losing to Portland State.
we did. Yeah, we lost to Portland State in just a total fluke. I mean, it's hard for me to think about if we would have beat them, that we would have a 10-win season. That's tough to think about. Um, so that 2015 season, all those guys had worked tremendously hard. I mean, you talk about a great culture. We had a great culture. We lose to Portland State, and then we're beating Rutgers, and then they return a kickoff return or a punt return. I can't remember. I think it was a punt return for a touchdown to get us down with like a minute. I don't know how much time was left. And then I should have thrown a pick. We had late scissors on. I threw one right to the DB. It went right through his arms, and River caught it on the sideline. And if that pick happens, I'm not playing anymore. Like they're gonna, because Peyton Bender and I were in a quarterback competition going into that season. And 2 weeks before, opening day or opening kickoff, they gave him the first reps because there was a real push. Peyton was way more talented than I was. That guy could throw the piss out of football. And there were a lot of coaches that wanted him to be the guy. And once again, it felt like just this dig at me. And I remember we had an opportunity. Leach always gave a couple guys the opportunity to come up and speak in front of the team. They had a format. Hey, where are you from? What does it mean to be a Coug? What's the message for the team? And it just so happened that the day that they gave Peyton the opportunity to be the first string quarterback that day at practice, it was my turn to speak that night. And, my message to the team is, listen, they're going to try to go out and take your job. You got to go F and earn it every single day. And I was pissed. I mean, I had the most fiery speech I've ever had in my entire life. And then we go out and we get beat by Portland State. And I felt like, oh, are they going to give me another opportunity to start? Leach did. And then we win that Rutgers game, the final minutes, and that saved me for another week. Then we played Wyoming. Okay. Then we played Cal. It was like we were up and down. We could see the potential we had. And just that one pisses me off to this day. We should have beat them. And then we played Oregon, and it's like that's when it all clicked. We're down 10 with 4 minutes left, and then that final game tying drive. I call it a mind strength moment. We only looked at the possibility rather than the probability, because we were in a 3rd and 24 situation. We were in 3 or 4 third downs, a 4th down, and then we tied up with 1 second left. I mean, that just goes to show the grit of that team, not only offensively, but on all 3 sides of the ball. We had to make stops when we needed to make them. We had to be great on special teams. We had to be, we rose on all 3 sides of the ball. That year, I felt we had the greatest team from a culture standpoint, and it was just so fun to be part of. And then, we went on, and I mean, I can't tell you how many close games we had that year. Arizona was close. Arizona State, we were down 17. We come back. UCLA, even the Stanford game, which if I didn't throw the freaking pick at the end, we probably win that game. And then, Eric made 5 kicks, and we put ourselves in a position to make it. And then, what's cool about Eric, though, is 2 years later, he makes the game-winning kick against USC. Kind of same part of the field, same moment, yeah. Had an opportunity. But we were just in dogfights that entire year. And then we go win the Sun Bowl, and that was a dogfight. I played like crap, and then we were able to.
Snowing, right?
Yeah, it was the Snow Bowl. But it wasn't like Utah snow. It was like nasty Texas snow or something. I mean, the ball would compact with the slush. I couldn't see. Leach was still calling 4 verticals every play. I'm like, all right, I'd really like a power run game right now, maybe a GT or any of that.
Gosh, I know.
Power out.
I look back at that 2015 season. That was my first year on campus. I was a transfer student from Southern California. First game I go to is Portland State. And I'm kind of saying the same thing in my head after walking out of the stadium, like soaking wet. Like, what did I do? Why did I transfer up here? Like, blah, blah, blah.
Like, we need a bench FAULK.
But I do remember that Halloween game against Stanford, and obviously the missed fumble call on McCaffrey hurts. The missed kick hurts, but you had a hell of a drive. I want to say there was like 39 seconds or 45 seconds for you guys to get down and give Powell a shot there. But man, yeah, there are a couple games. That California game, Portland State's just, one of those goes differently, and there's that 10-win season.
Yeah, you get that. And that Stanford game, I mean, we win that game. We're actually probably in a prime position to potentially, be in I don't know, I can't remember how it all works, but we're in a pretty good spot to potentially be in the Pac-12 championship game, But it's funny that Stanford last drive, nobody remembers it because we didn't win the game. But that's among my favorite series of plays because we were getting the dog. I mean, I was getting beat left and right, but we found a way on a 4th and 10. Dom somehow squeaked open. I actually broke my hand or my pointer finger that drive, the play before. So if you see, you want to go back and look at the game, I throw it to Dom and we're going down the field and I'm like looking at my hand because it doesn't look all that right, So I'm looking at that and then, anyways, it just really.
Man, Dom Williams was really underrated guy at WSU. He was a ton of fun to watch.
That dude was, I mean, I was spoiled. Him, Gabe, River. I mean, really all those guys. Rob Lou, Kyle. I mean, we had really great, talented receivers. And then running back wise, we had, 3-headed, 4-headed monster type deal. Yeah. And people forget about Keith Harrington was a great player in 2015. Jamal Morrow, Gerard Wicks. I mean, we really had our coaches did a phenomenal job. And then our offensive line, that's where it all started. Those boys in 2015, that is, the epitome of just great guys and a gritty group. Led by Gunnar Eklund from the leadership standpoint, and then Joe Dahl, Cole, Riley, Eduardo, and then Dillard did a good job coming in. I have so much praise and love for that 2015 team. Not to say that I don't love the other teams, but that one's really special.
How impressive is it what River Cracraft has been able to do as an undrafted guy, 31 years old, now back home? Well, not back home, but you get it, back home in terms of, being in Washington and being the Seahawks. Have you had any conversations with Riv since his new deal?
Yeah, I tried to get him Jack was trying to get me to recruit him to come up to the Coug Classic golf tournament deal or the Coug Quarterback Classic. And Riv just busy. He's trying to make a roster, but he's a Mind Strength. What do you call it? Mind Strength experiment or whatever, case study. There you go. He's all grit, no quit, and he has a total vision. You talk about somebody that's internally motivated. He loves the game of football. I remember we're going to class and he's making cuts on certain, like to English class. He's making a certain cut on the top of his route. And I'm like,
speed out.
Yeah. I'm like, this guy is unbelievable. He had his now wife throwing him routes while he's rehabbing. Like the guy's, he's a fanatic and there's a reason he's successful. He will not be denied. He is the person who has burnt all the boats. And he does a great job of working on the things that really matter. And, as a quarterback, I know every quarterback that's played with him loves him because he's exactly who you want in the foxhole, not only just as a quarterback perspective, but any teammate. I can't say anybody has a negative thing to say about River. Some coaches might have not liked him at certain points because, River was particular on doing, but River challenged. River wanted to know why. He wasn't the typical guy that was just going to, oh, you want me to go run with full head of steam into the wall? Great. No, River's like, why? What's the purpose? What are we doing this for? Because he really wanted to understand it at a deeper level because he just loves football. He loves the game. He loves the competitiveness. And, I could have go on and on and on about him, but he's so proud of him. And he's a hell of a football player. I'm still shocked that I think he's undervalued. I really do. I think that he hasn't had enough opportunities because I think once you get him in those situations, he's a gamer. He turns it on.
We got about 8 minutes left, so I want to get into some more things. I guess first off, the last part about college. If you can tell us any other Mike Leach stories that haven't been unveiled yet, and then after that, walk us through that draft process and once you graduate, heading into the NFL.
Oh gosh. I mean, like the Leach stories with the PG version and all that. I'll say this: I was very happy I got to go to Key West with Coach Leach and experience a Key West Leach, and I'll leave it at that. Um, the guy's a legend down there. He's a legend everywhere. But I do have a funny photo that he accidentally sent me. You know, he wanted to come on our fishing trip. He invited himself to come out in the flats with us that day. I'm like, Coach, there's only 2 people allowed, and it's my dad and me. Like, my dad's not getting the boot. And but he sent me a picture of him, and it's him dropping the fish. I don't think he meant to send it, but it's so funny. It's a hilarious photo. I'll share it one of these times. But like I said, I have so much gratitude for him. I think that senior season, him and I were turbulent, and I think it really showed in the season, and probably due to some immaturity on my part and wishing things were a little bit different. Me not having maybe the best of mind strength at that time, and but I just want to, like I said, it was like a father passing away without saying all the things you wanted to say to him. That's how it felt when he passed, because it's like, I'm where am I today without the opportunity that he gave me? Where am I today without, that first start? And really, we had a great relationship. Especially, I think why I love 2015 so much is because it's like I got that support from him. I mean, we were fully on board. We were a team. We were going totally forward together, and it was so fun to be a part of. And anyways, he's a tremendous coach. They'd be fools not to let him in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I think one of those things is like the winning percentage is one of the reasons why they're not
Yeah.
letting him in,
Yeah,
and
but
he's like 1% off. I mean, this is a guy that cultivated a whole new offensive scheme in the
yeah.
sport.
And also, he went to Washington State, where we were, I mean, struggling
The
is an
yeah,
understatement. And then he comes and makes some
Completely turns
winners.
it
I
around.
mean, 9 win, 8 win, 9 win, 11 wins. I mean, come on. So
one interesting story I found kind of researching was there was something how a Utah man was mistaken for NFL QB Luke Falk and ended up with a portion of the Tennessee Titans playbook. Are you familiar with this?
I've
Where
never heard that story. No.
yeah,
Oh, you know
there is.
what? I
He's
maybe
from
something like
Utah
this happened.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they sent
Um,
like a wrong email or something.
Yeah, this guy's name is Lucas Falk, and I'll retweet the thread on Twitter here. But essentially, the Titans sent him a portion of the playbook. They sent him gift cards that were supposed to be to you that he
Huh.
kept. I mean, it was just a kind of a wild story to peep on that I'd never
That's
seen
why
before this morning.
That's why it didn't work out for me. I didn't have the full playbook, I didn't have the red zone portion. No, I do kinda remember that now that you said that. It's because they went by my legal name, my sport name's Luke Falk, so they went by my legal name, Lucas. The only person that calls me Lucas is my mom when she's pissed, so I don't know.
And then just kind of segueing that into the NFL portion of things, obviously drafted in the 6th round by the Titans. And then you got to experience what being a practice player was like in terms of, hey, released, signed with the Dolphins, released, get to the Jets. Kind of explain to us mentally how you went through just such a crazy process where, you're really seeing how much of a business the NFL is.
Yeah, it's the plus one system that I talked about with high school. It's you got to produce. And at that point, unfortunately, I wasn't in the greatest headspace. I allowed the trappings of success to infiltrate my mind to have a victim mentality. I write about this in my book coming up. It's like the tale of two careers. I've got the walk on who paid $25,000 to have the opportunity to be locker 114 on the team, be 5th on the depth chart. Yet I found gratitude, and I looked for and found solutions, and eventually found myself at the top, versus the guy who fell in the draft, got picked up, still drafted, got paid 149 grand, still felt like that they didn't make a big enough investment in me to give me opportunities. victim my way out of the NFL. It's a huge learning point and lesson point for these athletes. It's like, success is great, but you can't let success turn you into a victim mentality if things don't go your way. And it's like, it's a case study. It really is. It's like the tale of two careers. And I think another portion of that is when I was, my environment, when I went to Washington State, we were all grateful. We were all excited that I had an opportunity to go play versus the people I had surrounded myself with in the NFL. It's like we all felt entitled. We all felt like things were happening to us rather than for us. And, I think that really, I allowed it, right? We all have a choice. Somebody can't make you feel something. Nobody can. I love when people say, oh yeah, they made me feel bad. It's like, nobody can make you feel anything. You choose how you feel. So the environment I had around me, I chose, and I also chose it to negatively impact me at that time. So, I mean, that's a big portion in mind strength training. So it's like, how do you create and sustain a winning environment? Because I saw it. When I was in a great environment, I was doing the right things. You're a product of who you spend your time with. You're a product of what you intake. You're a product of what you consume. And I saw at the moment that I had worked all my life for, I didn't have the proper foundation with my creating and sustaining my own environment. And it was like, killed me from the inside out. So, but I think it all happens for a reason. I really do. It's like, why did I go through that? Why did I slip up? Because I think it all is aiming me to help me be the best coach I can possibly be. Having RLE, I joke all the time. I don't have a PhD. I don't have an MD or any of the fancy certifications. I think I have one that's pretty dang good though. RLE, real life experience. I've walked it. I've lived it. These have been battle tested. The man in the arena, the highs, the lows. And so anyways.
One thing I'll leave with, few stats. Luke, you finished your career with -400 in rushing yards. Now let's get to the good ones. First, in the Pac-12 all-time, pass completions 1,404, pass attempts 2,055, passing yards 14,486. That's 12th all-time in NCAA. Passing touchdowns 119, first all-time in the Pac-12 and 12th all-time in the NCAA. One thing, you do have a spot. You're going to Canyon Corner High School May 14th.
Yep, Corner Canyon High School, May 14th. We're doing the Mind Strength experience there. So if anybody's listening to this in Utah, come on out. It's going to be a great night. You can sign up on, I think on like the social media stuff. I got a little link tree. You can go in there and sign up. And also, I do want to do this since you're doing some plug. November 4th, I got the Mind Strength Playbook for athletes, a book coming out. And I think you'll be able to pre-order it hopefully sometime during the, I don't know, mid-September, maybe like Apple Cup week. That would be fun to be able to pre-order it. But it's going to be a great book, a great tool for athletes, coaches, and parents who want to learn more about the most valuable asset, their mind.
Are you going to read that on Audible?
Oh, you'll be able to hear me talk to you to sleep at night. A little Matthew McConaughey action. Hey, Connor.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Luke. Yeah.
Anyways, I got to get AI generated to do Leach's at the beginning or something.
That's amazing. Well, Luke, really appreciate your time. Thanks as always for coming on. Great to hear your story, and excited to watch you continue to grow in your mind strength, business.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Dylan, Connor. You guys have a great day, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.